So, as I was saying, before this, what was the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history? That's the question. Actually, you'll be surprised. It was actually a drought and heat. The drought and heat of 1988. Now, the drought and heat of 1988 might have been less costly than Hurricane Katrina, but it actually killed 7,500 people. 7,500 people, or even more. The numbers actually reach is up to 8,000, 9,000 people actually died from the drought and heat of 1988. In the end, this natural disaster cost $79 billion. Now we go to this, the 32 students and teachers were slaughtered by a single gunman on April 16, 2007. Virginia Tech massacre. So, Seung-Hui Cho was born in South Korea in 1984. He immigrated to the U.S. when he was 8, and he became a permanent resident. It was in middle school when he started suffering from major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder with selective mutism. On April 16, 2007, when he was 23 years old and studying in Virginia Tech, he murdered 5 teachers and 27 students. It was the deadliest shooting by a single gunman in America in history until the 2016 Orlando shootings. The shooting received international media coverage and sparked tense debates on gun violence, gun laws, and mental health, and more. So this guy right here is Seung-Hui Cho. You can see that he actually was taking photos. You know, these are the two guns that he used to murder all these innocent students and teachers. This is how he was dressed during the shooting as well. This man right here, his name is Holocaust survivor and Romanian professor Liviu Librescu. He is considered a hero in Romania and in the U.S. because during the attack he held off Cho during the attacks, giving time for all but one of his 23 students in his classroom to escape. There were 24 students in his classroom. 23 of them escaped because Liviu Librescu, he held them off. Cho was trying to enter his classroom by knocking off the door, but Liviu Librescu held him off, and he was shot through the door 3 times. He was killed, and one of his students, while he was trying to escape, he was also killed by Cho, but only one. He saved the lives of 23 students. So he's a hero. And now we move to the 2007-2008 financial crisis. Oh boy, and we're just getting started. This was the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. It caused the loss of over $12.8 trillion. Unemployment went as high as 10% in the U.S. And when unemployment goes up 10% in the U.S., that's not good. More than 8 million Americans lost their homes. The crisis nearly caused the collapse of financial institutions worldwide, but was prevented by the bailout of banks by national governments. Despite the bailout, stock markets still dropped worldwide. So, you might be asking yourself, what on earth caused this? And so right now, as you know, I'm not very taught in the economic side of it. I mean, this is really too hard to explain, but I have a video that might help sum it up for you from a really good documentary. Forgot its name. It's Inside Job, I think. It's pretty good. So here we go.
In the old system, when a homeowner paid their mortgage every month, the money went to their local lender. And since mortgages took decades to repay, lenders were careful. In the new system, lenders sold the mortgages to investment banks. The investment banks combined thousands of mortgages and other loans, including car loans, student loans, and credit card debt, to create complex derivatives called collateralized debt obligations, or CDOs. The investment banks then sold the CDOs to investors. Now when homeowners paid their mortgages, the money went to investors all over the world. The investment banks paid rating agencies to evaluate the CDOs, and many of them were given a AAA rating, which is the highest possible investment grade. This made CDOs popular with retirement funds, which could only purchase highly rated securities. This system was a ticking time bomb. Lenders didn't care anymore about whether a borrower could repay, so they started making riskier loans. The investment banks didn't care either. The more CDOs they sold, the higher their profits. And the rating agencies, which were paid by the investment banks, had no liability if their ratings of CDOs proved wrong. There was another ticking time bomb in the financial system. AIG, the world's largest insurance company, was selling huge quantities of derivatives called credit default swaps. For investors who owned CDOs, credit default swaps worked like an insurance policy. An investor who purchased a credit default swap paid AIG a quarterly premium. If the CDO went bad, AIG promised to pay the investor for their losses. But unlike regular insurance, speculators could also buy credit default swaps from AIG in order to bet against CDOs they didn't own. Since credit default swaps were unregulated, AIG didn't have to put aside any money to cover potential losses. Instead, AIG paid its employees huge cash bonuses as soon as contracts were signed. But if the CDOs later went bad, AIG would be on the hook.
So, yeah, it's a pretty good documentary. I watched it. Really explains it to you. Another good movie that really shows you. It's this movie right here. It's called man, I forgot its name. I forgot the name of it. The big man, I forgot. It starts. It's a really good movie. Let me see what was the name of it. I can click right here. The Big Short. Yeah, The Big Short. It starts. Yes, The Big Short. A really good movie. You should watch it. It really explained what happened during the economic crisis. So, the week that changed the decade. Now, this was perhaps the worst week. This was like the pivotal moment of the pivotal week of the economic crisis. So, as you see, the week that changed the decade, September 10, Lehman Brothers announces a $3.9 billion loss. September 13, Federal Reserve moots liquidation option. September 14, UK regulators veto rescue bid from Barclays. September 15, Lehman Brothers file for bankruptcy protection. And so September 15, 2008, Lehman Brothers collapses. So, after bailing out Bear Stearns and Freddie Mac, the U.S. Treasury refused to bail out Lehman Brothers. And so at 7 a.m., September 15, Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy with nearly $640 billion in assets and $613 billion in debts. It is the largest filing for bankruptcy in U.S. history. Markets worldwide plummeted immediately after the announcement. And so Lehman Brothers, yes, it was investment. It was an investment bank organization. And it was actually the fourth biggest in the world. So that's why market markets plummeted worldwide after the announcement.